Something tragic happened today. Charlie Kirk, a really big political figure on social media, was killed at a political rally or just public discussion at a college in the United States. We don't do that here. Like, that should not be a thing that's just accepted as like, oh yeah, that, just another whatever. And it's weird, right? This is the first time where I've seen a world event like this and it's really hit home because I've seen his videos before. I've watched his discussions. And so then, like, I know him as a person. I've seen him as a person online, right? And then just, of course, seeing the video of him, I don't know. Now, there's two main types of videos that are going to succeed on social media following this. It's the ones that criticize him and kind of celebrate the fact that this thing happened, or on the other end of it, the ones that kind of call out the overall problem with this whole scenario. Both of them don't take responsibility for the true at heart problem here, right? The problem is that it's not criticizing other people's actions, because then the viewer watching the person criticizing the people doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to change. And so then for this to not be a problem in the United States, what we have to do is each and every single one of us has to take responsibility in our own community, and we have to stand up to others that aren't open to public discourse, or we have to, we kind of have to take responsibility on ourselves for the fact that school shootings happen, for the fact that assassination attempts happen, right? Like, this is not something that some, really deranged person somehow meditated on and came up with. It's like, that's a human being that felt that it was okay and had no one to stop them, and they did something heinous. But any of us could do the same. And that's the key point here, is this. It's like, we're putting the responsibility on someone else. It's like, oh, it's a terrible thing that this person did, or I can't believe that happened. But at the end of the day, it was allowed to happen because we, as a society, did not do a good enough job of self-correcting the psychopaths, by not taking responsibility for our own lives. That's the key. Because when everyone kind of lets loose, it's like, oh, it's someone else's problem. Well, then it's no one else's problem, because no one's taking responsibility for it, which means that it's everybody's problem. If that makes sense, right? If I say, oh, someone else will take care of the trash on the street, and then the person behind me says the same thing, well, no one knows how many people have walked by and said that about the trash on the street. And then, of course, someone has trash in their hand, and they're like, well, someone else did it, and so is it really that bad if I do it too? So they drop the trash down on the street. And it becomes more and more of a problem. If the first person that walked past would have just taken responsibility and said, hey, it's not that I was born into this situation to pick up this trash. It's not that this is my responsibility. However, I'm going to choose to pick this up just to make the world a more beautiful place. That's the key here, is it's not just someone else's responsibility, and if you put it off, everyone else does it. There's a phrase that I've been talking about with my mom. If we're not doing it, nobody is, right? If we're not walking a mile every day, running a mile every day, taking responsibility for our lives, being disciplined, or, showing love to the world, or seeking the best in others, if we're not doing it, nobody is, Because I know so many people who complain about, oh man, it's so difficult nowadays to raise a family, make money, X, Y, and Z, but they also just go home and drown out their lives on Netflix and Instagram. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed today. And so what am I doing just now? I'm doing exactly that. I'm scrolling through TikTok for the first time in 2 weeks. Just we had some time here in Idaho Falls, and there's a lot of work to be done. And so then I guess it makes more sense in the moment for me to sit down and just scroll. That way I don't have to take on the problem. but then it becomes more of a problem the longer that I live in the moment. You see what I mean? Instead, if I zoom out at large and I look at, oh, look at all the times in the past week, month, year, 5 years, I've decided to put off that responsibility. Well, it's the same thing as if we saw a little number above the trash on the street and it showed the number of people that walked past it, that way you had some context. There was 1 million people that walked by this trash. Then honestly, at that point, it'd be kind of cool. It'd be like, wait, like 1 million people have walked by this, I'm going to be the one that picks it up, That attitude is tough, but we can cultivate it by just assuming that no one else is taking responsibility, and so that now that we are walking past it with awareness and perspective, that it's our responsibility to pick it up, or else no one else will do it. And so then in your community, in your circle of friends, that's the key, is you have to be the one that kind of corrects others' malicious behaviors by making them and others aware of the fact that what they're doing is bad at the extreme, if that makes sense. Like, don't sugarcoat someone's bad behaviors just to avoid conflict, or else, one person slips through the cracks and goes AWOL and off the grid, and when they surface, it's not a good thing. So we have to be conscious of it, and we have to move towards it boldly, or else it will disassociate and disappear. And when it surfaces, it'll be a much bigger monster to take care of, or it might not even be controllable at that point, So at the end of the day, it's your responsibility just as much as your neighbors. And so they're probably not going to take responsibility, right? Because people are useless and weak and irresponsible. Because I know I'm useless and weak and irresponsible at times. But if all of us decided 1 out of 10 times to just take that first step forward and cultivate a different attitude towards life, maybe things like this wouldn't happen as often or ever, because it's just not an acceptable thing. It's not even an option in our minds. What if we become like a war-torn country? You can just show up somewhere and shoot someone who's just talking? What the actual F? I wish I could say that word. It's disgusting, So, but it's not someone else's problem, right? It's yours. You have to take responsibility for your neighbor, for yourself, for your friend group. And you have to be the one that learns how to cultivate stronger skill sets in your friends and communication skills. And because if you're not doing it, nobody is. Just my thoughts. Praying for you, Charlie.